Are you okay? We need to talk about
Lars Ulrich, drummer, songwriter, metal legend. One of my favorite drummers and easily one of my most listened to drummers. And in many ways, the laughingstock of the drum community. Well, probably for good reason. But why? Is it just a lack of practice? Or maybe something deeper? And more importantly, what can we learn from it? There's a common narrative around the whole Lars Ulrich paradigm that goes something like, well, he was great in the early days and in the 90s, but then at some point he just sort of stopped practicing, and that's why. And yeah, sure, I don't disagree. But think about it this way. Metallica has been touring regularly for the past 40 years at this point, with only really small breaks in between. And I mean, you'd expect that the least that time would do, the time that Lars is spending behind the kit on tour and in the studio, is maintain his skills as Metallica's drummer. You certainly wouldn't expect him to suddenly bust out the jazz chops, But the signature Metallica stuff, I mean, how can you unlearn that, right? He could do it in the 90s, so why can't he do it now? So that's not really a satisfactory explanation for me. And also, there's other touring drummers who claim they don't practice or have never practiced. You should take these statements with a grain of salt, in my opinion, but, I believe Matt Helders of the Arctic Monkeys when he says he's never really practiced and he doesn't practice. I believe Andy Hurley from Fall Out Boy when he says, well, he's fine with where he's at, he doesn't really practice anymore. But, the touring keeps them in shape. So, what's going on with Lars? I posit the following explanation for Lars' sloppiness. It has always been there. You just didn't notice. And there's two reasons for this, in my opinion, that caused this. One of them relates to music in general, and one of them relates to drumming, which may or may not qualify as music, depending on your definition. The first one. If the music is good, let's say colorful performances, are actually totally fine. Think Ringo, think Patrick Carney. If the tunes are there, if the parts are there, the performances don't have to be completely flawless. At least historically, modern day studio recordings are a different thing, but historically at least, not a problem. But on the other hand, if the music isn't there, if the songs aren't there, you're not gonna polish that turd by playing it well. To pick a completely random example, Saint Anger is just bad because the songs are bad. I mean, you could put the best production on there that you can think of, and it would still not be a good record because the songs are just not good. It's not the snare sound. The snare sound is just a great meme. And as far as drumming is concerned, well, let's dive in and have a look at what I consider to be Metallica's peak. The year is 1989. Metallica is at the height of their ability as musicians and as songwriters. And fortunately, there exists a document that has beautifully captured this moment in time. And of course, you know what's coming if you clicked on this video, and if you made it this far, you definitely know what's coming. I'm talking about Live Shit, Binge and Purge, Seattle 1989. beautiful concert, a fantastic performance. I love this live performance. And Lars' style is on full display here. You know, memorable parts, energetic, passionate, and powerful playing. But if you look closely, all the hallmarks of modern day Lars are also present. In fact, let's do a segment I like to call Lars Bingo. Hello there, and welcome to my highly professional streaming setup that I have going on here. So what we're going to do is the following. We're going to watch the 1989 performance of the classic song For Whom the Bell Tolls, which for the record is a very good performance. And I've got a bit of a scorecard, you know, you can see it on the screen, of some of the hallmarks of Lars's playing. And it obviously includes such classics as the inconsistent tempo, the crash on two, the rushed fills, standing up while playing, and the beloved sloppy double bass. Now, I don't think we're going to get all of these today, unfortunately. You know, I'm pretty sure Lars had a ride in '89, and as much as I hate his current Tama drum set, it just looks ugly, you have to respect the white, you know, Justice kit. It does look great, okay? So we'll see how much we get just from this one song. Let's go. Okay, starting it off real nice with some audience participation. Whoa! Okay, we can. There we go. Oh shit, that's the wrong color, isn't it? Okay, we got the inconsistent tempo switch right there. Great. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, we got another one, standing up while playing. That was fast. Does that count as a drum face? I'm gonna count it as a drum face. Ah, there we go. We have to crash on too. Oh shit. This is gonna be a fast one. The double bass has been very nice so far, admittedly. Was that rushed? I'm gonna be charitable and say it wasn't. Did you see the foot technique? How he lifts his whole foot up? Very inefficient. So almost there. Just one more, we just need one more. Sloppy double bass or rushed fill. It's gonna be one of them. Let's see. I'm so excited. Okay. Oh, it's the sloppy double bass, and there we go. I think we got a bingo. I don't think it's very far to a rushed fill either, but you know, you get the point. It's all there. Now, does any of this matter for our enjoyment of the concert? No. Because the songs are there, the performances are there, and the energy, is definitely there. It's a really great concert. 10 out of 10. Would watch again. Will watch again, in fact. And you should too. And once you start hearing these imperfections, you will also start to notice them on the records. Just a couple of examples. The intro on Motor Breath is not completely clean. The time on For Whom the Bell Tolls, one of my favorite Metallica songs, is a bit shaky at times. And also that weird 3/4 bar on Master of Puppets, and it is 3/4. It's not 13/16 or anything weird like that. It is just a rushed bar of 3/4. Kind of weird. Not 100% perfect. But that was never the appeal, was it? Metallica, to me at least, has always been about songs and about the attitude, about the energy and the overall impression that the music creates. And what an impression that Metallica still makes to this day. Maybe not live, but the recordings hold up. It's really, really fantastic music. And they've never had the level of technical perfection that, someone like a band like Dream Theater has. And Ragusia pointed this out in his podcast episode on Metallica, which is really great. I really recommend it. And he talked about, well, obviously the bands that followed Metallica improved upon what they did, and modern metal music is significantly more complex than Metallica. But even their contemporaries were just better at their, craft in terms of playing, not in terms of writing. Like Megadeth, in terms of technique, probably the better band than Metallica. But Metallica's songs are just better in my opinion. They speak to me much more. And the Imperfections, if I'm being charitable, they add character, But on the other hand, I would not complain if they weren't there. So, they're just part of the deal that you get with Metallica, and it's still a really good deal, Imperfections and all. So, what happened? Several things. Time, first of all. The youthful energy of 30-year-old Lars is very difficult to match by 60-year-old Lars. But I don't think age is the only reason. Because look at Tommy Aldrich. He's 72. He gets like an absolute beast. Billy Cobham is 78. And if you see him play live, you wouldn't know he was that old. Sheila E. doing fine at 65. So I don't think it's age, but we'll get to that. Or rather, it's not just age. The second reason is money. Here's a fact for you. Lars is a millionaire, and he does not concern himself with the opinions of me or you or anyone really, as long as people pay, to cite a totally random number here, 116 euros and 25 cents for cheap seats at a Metallica concert. He does not have any reason whatsoever to change. And technique. Third of all, and I'm gonna put on my sort of drum teacher hat for a second here, and if you look closely at Lars, even at his peak, he could play fast stuff and powerful stuff, all of that, but the foundation of his technique wasn't particularly sound. There's a lot of little imperfections there that if you're young, you can compensate for, but age does make things harder, and if your movements aren't very efficient at 30, and they're still not very efficient at 60, then you're going to start running into problems. And as a hobby musician, that's totally fine. I don't want to judge anybody here. As long as you're not hurting yourself, anything goes technique-wise. But if you're making your money playing music, that's a whole different story. But as a professional musician, as someone who makes their money making music, a good technical foundation is invaluable. Because if you have that down, you can play for hours on end without exhausting yourself. You can play as loud or as quiet as you want without hurting yourself. And you can adapt your volume and your sound to any situation you find yourself in, from living room to a stadium. And that's why it's a really good foundation to build your playing on. But it's never enough. it's not the only thing that matters. Energy, passion, musicianship. That's why I look up to Lars. That's what inspires me about his playing and his musical legacy. Because at the best of times, he could come up with some really cool parts that aren't all that complicated, but in their simplicity are really just great to listen to and catchy. And of course, his energy, especially live, and as we talked about, Seattle 1989, amazing. Just great. I love it. Of course, if you have both the technique and the passion, attitude, whatever, well, that's where you get back to like Tommy Aldridge or Billy Cobham or Sheila E., because they've got both, and that's why they still sound really fantastic. And Lars, well, he just doesn't seem like he has either at this point. And that's frustrating, if, well, hopefully more understandable now that you've watched this video. Well, and what incredible lesson lies at the end of this video? That you spent the finite resource of your time here on this earth for, well, I guess practice your rudiments and like have fun and make good music.